Hello there folks, this is Ferengi on board. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I will discuss different topics about spirituality, introspection, deep understanding, all sorts of topics regarding such ideas, okay? Game design, game development, but well, game development very rarely. Um, what I want to do now is make a video about my video game, since I took a decision to postpone the personal battle system that I am working on and focus on delivering the game to the market. The game is theoretically and practically complete, but I'm still interested in testing some features of it, and the difficulties that I decided to add um, will also be implemented. There won't be too much change, it's just a variable manipulation. Okay, so I don't know exactly why there is no sound. I think I forgot to actually add a sound. Let's actually choose second difficulty, because alright, so Yanfly's plugin system is functioning okay. Um, Alright, so I actually added a option, for the game. When it begins, if the player has gone through this dialogue several times, it can actually be skipped. It tends to be quite lengthy, I can say. It's up till 5 minutes, depending on how much the player can read. Now the game's gonna be more of a visual novel compared to, like purely an RPG. There is not gonna be any fighting, the idea of RPG fighting, other than that personal battle system, which most likely won't be released with the game itself. I'm gonna release that separately as I work through it. I still have a few confusions, but I will handle that in time. The way it has to be handled is very lengthy. So the point is, okay, let's see how things actually go. And I always thought innocent beings are part of fairy tales only. So the protagonist is a character who, the aim of the game would be to present separate chapters in her life. This one is technically a chapter in which she is much younger, not necessarily inexperienced, but she's much ballsier and somewhat aggressive, and most importantly arrogant in a way. Now the idea of this, and why the game is called The Journey Through Consciousness, it's because the protagonist, although she depicts and presents herself as a high elf or a very tall, somewhat good looking elf, the point about this is she doesn't have a physical body. She is a facet of consciousness. It's what I've been discussing in some of my spiritual videos. It's what people would call a soul, but basically much more complex, because I never believed that the idea of a soul conveys the complexity that actually would represent, the idea of consciousness. And well, literally, well, you get the idea. So the point about this is that the protagonist accepts to dive into any possible dimension to experience in the name of consciousness. That is why she is, in the end, a facet of consciousness. She is just a projection of the great wide consciousness, okay? She's not an angel or a demon, she's just a being like anyone else, and therefore the point is she's just experiencing life, and she's meeting all the different races and beings. She will get to know a lot of other beings throughout the game, well, in its vastness and the way I would see it. She would get to see and meet a lot of friends. Yes, some of them, they will not be forever, like there will be friends who will accompany you for a while, but most of the situation the protagonist will be a loner, okay? I don't want to focus too much on different typical RPG things. I'm not interested in creating an RPG. My game has to be a visual novel in which I share some ideas and depth about life. Be it that people can understand it or not, that's not gonna be an issue. That's not gonna be a problem, because, well, in the end, the purpose of the game is to experience at whatever level of awareness people can experience it. There will be several dialogues like this in which the characters spoke at each other with quotes, and this is a place where the protagonist will meet one of the three components of what is called the Nemesis project. It's a power that is specifically designed to hunt her, the protagonist I mean, in any dimension she goes when she would become powerful enough, and the three would activate and they would chase her down, and depending on the universe they would have a different shape and size. In this universe they chose to be, or simply they have been summoned as some kind of lolitas in a way, but not quite lolitas, I could say, like fresh young females that again, they are fleshy in a way, but they don't follow the specific rules and structures of the flesh and bone, okay? They are beings who are somewhat different than any dimension, because technically they do not belong to any dimension. So as you can see, the two characters spoke at each other. I don't need to present any of the backgrounds, okay, of the so-called demon female on the right, because the game itself will feature this map only and nothing that happens before. That's the game itself. That's this part basically of the game is nothing else than a a small part of one of the protagonist chapters. Now a chapter is something that takes place over an extended period of time and presents some of her quests and experiences throughout a certain part of her life. And in this case she would have some three other friends, and they get defeated by an enemy. They come to this inn where she is, and throughout they're staying in the inn for 2 or 3 days. She just wanders around and, well, kind of gets lost, because being of a higher origin, she simply feels that there is something awkward with this place, and, well, she feels that she and her allies would be somewhat in danger. She is directly connected to consciousness, so therefore she has access to a lot of knowledge. However, the way she chooses to experience is she just completely, inhibits herself as much as possible, because through this she can only experience, like as far away as possible from consciousness, meaning in lower and lower dimensions. She can experience by becoming more and more inhibited. That's kind of the rule, okay? And being arrogant and also wise at the same time, she knows that irrespective of how much she inhibits herself, she cannot be truly defeated or killed by the others. And also she experiences and lives life as, you know, a facet of consciousness, okay, and as a teacher for others, because she teaches others by defeating them, or in some situations letting them defeat her. And in this case she has to defeat her first nemesis, which will be deployed against her. This chapter she is somewhat much younger, so she will look like she doesn't know who that nemesis actually is, although she throughout the game may look like she remembers. It's up to the player to realize whether she knows of this nemesis or not, because the way I create my video games, I never want something to be set in stone, so that people can actually interpret and, well, focus on things the way they want, okay, the way they want, the way they can, and, you know, always ask themselves why they did a certain thing, why they didn't do a certain thing. And the game indeed is aimed to having those 5 difficulties, which aren't fully implemented yet, I know. So let's actually focus a bit on the dialogue. I'm gonna go a bit faster through it. So the demon female simply wants to leave. She wants to run because she knows she's in some kind of big trouble with this newcomer, because she's technically not that dumb as the protagonist makes her look, and she knows she doesn't have much chance against Xandara's kin. Now, Xandara is not the only facet of consciousness that experiences, and in this world there are others of her kin, and they all share the same way, the same looks. Usually they present themselves with female bodies. The male ones are very extremely rare, but it's not important to discuss because they won't be featured in this game anyways. So okay, I almost did. As you can see, they just poke one at the other with different quotes. My, you're a funny one. Okay. Why is it that you are always in a rush when I am around? Am I so intimidating or what? Alright. This is actually an honest question, because well, again, I don't want to present things as being fixed, but that is somewhat an honest question, although she's the embodiment of grinchiness, basically. Xandara is the embodiment of grinchiness, but her idea is being wise and from other realms. She will always experience any other realm possible, be it high dimensional or lower dimensional, but her main aspect is she cannot get stuck, she cannot get attached, and, you know, she simply has difficulty in understanding others because she cannot have basically an identity. That is the point. She does not belong to any realm, so therefore she does not have necessarily an identity beyond that of hers, okay, the original her, who she is, okay. And the point is, she cannot create an identity based on any environment she gets to experience, irrespective of how much she stays in there. That's why she, you know, cannot understand why beings, irrespective of race, behave one way or another. Her simple purpose is to experience and learn, and to get to learn a bit about the others, but, you know, to the limitation that she can, because she's much wider. As I said, she's a facet of consciousness, so technically she is a direct extension of consciousness itself, okay. Don't take her necessarily as a goddess. She's not necessarily a goddess. She is indeed all-powerful, but she agrees to limit herself as much as possible to experience things. So when fighting others, she'll always fight by their rules, because she knows that she has to make everything fair and square to beings who are very, you know, like very much below her level, okay. So the pursued target, the demon on the right, she doesn't have specifically a name. Both the pictures were done with Picru. I'm grateful for their creations and Chereverie, okay. I'm grateful to her as well, and what beautiful and amazing pictures she and probably her crew, if she ever has, have been creating through Picru, and yes, I will actually be using that a lot in my game. So you see, well, we all have important plans to attend to, therefore I have my own. And of course the protagonist would answer with something regarding, well, something grinchy, because, well, she is the embodiment of grinchiness. And of course the demon female ain't gonna back down that much. And of course Xandara is also razor sharp focused, so if she finds she has a certain objective, well, she simply sets on that, and well, she won't accept to do literally anything else. Why so serious, eh? Alright, now I think, no, it's not in here, it's in here. Very special, you love her. Wait, my grandmother is calling me again. Da, măi, zi, ce vrei? Lasă-mă în pace. Zi. Ai injecții din alea, ai pastile, nu mai ai pastile. Și pastilele alea nu le mai ai? Alea de durere? Personal? Ai mâncat ceva ca să iei, nu ai putut lua? Nici eu n-am mâncat de 2 zile aproape. O să mă duc mai încolo, ai răbdare. Lasă-mă în pace, nu mai cum fac în repede. Alright, I actually spent some time while I was, you know, like I had 2 days where my grandmother actually went to the hospital, and now she's back home and she always pisses me off. Okay, so regarding this, okay, because I intend to kill you, and all this talking ain't gonna quench my dagger's thirst. Alright, you're quite a hasty one, aren't you? Such a curious design that is. So, as one may probably understand, the female demon is kind of, you know, she's kind of perplexed in a way, like she cannot understand why the protagonist is so much in a rush. So what's your problem with my plan? Well, I didn't know you actually had a plan. They both are actually grinchy, yes, I know, and the protagonist's answer with your stupidity surprises me. I actually have a plan. Okay. Now, something that people may not understand is that my writing actually has an importance behind its colors, and this will be more in-depth presented in the other chapter. If you look on my channel, you'll see I have another chapter with students in a university in Japan. Okay, and your plan is, well, I'll kill you and you die, easy peasy. Of course, like, what could the embodiment of grinchiness actually say? What did you say? Just that? Looks like a lengthy one. I can stick to the first part only, like, you don't have to die, I'm okay with just killing you. Okay? Before you rethink the idiocy of your plans, I will be leaving for now, but I entrust you to someone very special. You'll love her, I assure you. So the protagonist actually, the demon actually vanishes. Okay, let's see. Okay, actually missed coloring in here. This is gone. Oops, serious. Okay, let's see. Why so serious? I don't need this because I messed up the color in there. And here the actual antagonist appears. Oh, now that's cute. Wait, I actually changed it in here. Ain't that cute? But okay, now that's cute. First she leaves, then she leaves me another target to kill. Oh wait. Alright, that's cute. Then it's not bad to actually change some values in here. Prepare to face your demise, monster. And I actually love the red background that I created in here. Create another one of those losers with only one word in their vocabulary. Of course. Say what you will, filth. Oh, she actually has two words. I'm actually thinking of starting to think you're actually smarter. Okay. Foolhardy words from a pathetic filth. Enough talking though. Prepare to meet your maker, you monstrosity. And yes, throughout the game, the protagonist will be called a monstrosity by different characters who hate her and know of her potential. Oh, would you look at that? The little one actually has feelings. Now, this color is present here, and it means something either vague or something that the speaker simply disbelieves in. Okay, something that is sci-fi, or something that is beyond a certain person's or a certain speaker's belief. Usually if you see this color, that's what it will mean. Okay, you almost hurt mine. Too bad I don't have any. As probably you may have guessed, the protagonist does not have feelings and emotions, because in order to have and feel emotions, you need to have a lot of them sedimented. But the protagonist, being in full connection with the multiverses, she simply cannot harbor emotions. Every emotion that goes through her is simply liberated. So therefore she cannot feel any, because she simply lets them flow, instead of keeping them in like we humans, for example, do, and probably many other species, and therefore she is not too able of understanding other beings' emotions as well. And I agree we should get to the killing part. Would be my pleasure. And now, as of what I sense about this new lunatic is that I must not approach her. I must not engage her head on. Also, what I can do instead is to craft a special treat for this primitive who even dares think she can kill me. Okay, so again, think, she is not believing the fact that her antagonist actually thinks. That's why the color. And can kill, again, something she cannot believe, because again she's also arrogant to a certain extent. Crafting some poison to abolish this little abomination is mandatory. The ingredients are scattered around here. The runner's an alchemist, and this is an alchemist's inn as well. I can't care what they'd have in common. And the inn, however, is sealed against paranormal entities, since that's how primitives fathom of classifying me. Alright, so the tight areas are inaccessible to the newcomer. Gotta make myself immune to those words though. Well, this is just fluff a bit, because the player has indeed several places they can go to where the antagonist here cannot actually get to. As for the newcomer, I doubt she cares about the words. She wants me dead. Honestly, she does have all it takes. And yes, the antagonist has anything she needs, although she has a human simple shape. She and her daggers are enough to simply extinguish the protagonist from this world, because that's why the Nemesis project was created in the first place. That's why I need the poison. I so love the faces these primitives make when you prove your immunity to them. Wait, I think I actually... No, he is correct, okay. It even ends up as shocking to most. It's like they're entitled to kill you and you simply are entitled to die. Okay, so how about we prove this dumbling wrong, shall we? Alright! So now the protagonist can actually move around, and we shall move around. There are numerous events that can actually trigger in here, and those are not necessarily important. The tinting effects should have been dispelled though, and yes, people can actually walk by, behind these walls. I actually made it capable, like I used one of Yanfly's plugins to allow me to put names above the character. And this is what happens basically when you get touched by her. I think I actually got stuck. I don't understand why. And this is the gab system. Initially this was all text boxes, but I changed them into gabs so that the point is the player doesn't have to simply, you know, press enter or whatever to skip the text. I changed this event, and unfortunately I think my Windows update or something like that started again, because my game is working a bit crappy and I really don't know why. This is just an initial... Oh, okay, apparently that's why it was moving badly. This part shouldn't have triggered now, because she summons some clones that will also hunt you, and the summoning shouldn't have happened if you get triggered, if you get caught, and for some reason I actually got stuck in this place. So I'm gonna actually create a okay, so yeah, I still have a few things that I have to do. There are dozens of events that happen in parallel, and this game being made in JavaScript, handling parallel things is always gonna be an issue. It's not necessarily that. I actually created a special condition, and I have to check that when the player is in separate events, okay, like so-called cinematics, okay, or different events. The point is nothing else should trigger, because I don't want the clones to trigger if you, for example, get killed in the meantime, just as it happened now. Okay, let's hit apply. Let's actually see real quick why okay, let's see real quick why it wouldn't work. And well, actually, let's not focus on that too much. My project has become really big in a way. I've actually used 999 event slots in the game, and if anyone can't believe me, okay, here's your proof. So many of them, yes, are nothing else than animations. Yes, around 500 different animations are different situations, and the rest are just events and sub-events that trigger different ideas. I look forward to releasing this game. I'm actually interested in releasing this game by the end of the month, and I'll actually let the personal battle system as a secondary aspect, and I'll start working on it after the game will be released. I will have to change whatever I have created, and well, the battle system wasn't accessible to the player anyways, because I have 50 characters to create. I initially wanted to create an auto-generate version, an auto-generate option for enemies, because it's gonna be a duel in which the player has to fight several enemies, and they can be either auto-generated by following a certain class or a certain elite skill. But the problem that I came up with is that I really have to create an AI that would handle the auto generation, because the character will be given some skills, but I have to make sure that it's capable of actually, you know, using any of the skills that it will be given. Okay. Special thanks go to Hiro Natsume, the designer of the set of pictures that were done for this. as I can say, the best 100 bucks that I could have spent. He created several pictures and I chose this one for the song, for the intro. The song is part of Magical Music Box music pack by Joel Stoidler, or Stoidler, I think it's Stoidler, I really don't know, hopefully I didn't butcher the name. They can be found on the internet, just type in Magical Music Box. You can also find it on Steam. I'm not sure if you can actually listen to them on Steam, so just type let's actually give the player, it's this Joel Stoidler. Okay, they also have a free music sample, a few free songs, and yeah. So the project, theoretically and practically the game is complete, except the battle system, which I can actually work and release as a separate game. I don't need to add too much more into the game. Yes, I have this habit. I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing your opinion about it, and just as usual, keep up doing the good work. Happy RPG making. Hopefully if you enjoyed, I will keep up the work and doing the testing to see how several events work. I have taken a few and I transposed them from map bound parallel events into common event parallel events, and I've seen that there is kind of a little trouble, because in some situations they no longer seemed to trigger, and some people said that it's actually bad programming to create so many map based parallel events, but if they don't trigger from common events, I'm gonna have to revert that and put them back in the map where they were, because the game works fine as is and I don't want to overcomplicate myself. I just want to finish several things, some of the end game aspects, and introducing the different variable values for the 5 difficulties. And well, all these being said, you are loved and appreciated. Take care of yourselves, enjoy life. Don't forget, life is all about experiencing and learning. Feel free to watch my channel and find some videos on spirituality, other videos on my video game, and well, feel free to leave comments based on criticism that you feel, ideas. I'm always open for more ideas. And if you're wondering, I am the only one who's working on this project. There's only me doing and handling literally everything. I spent it's not important how much I spent, but all the DLCs that I bought, they were for this game. There's a huge number of them that I bought, and all sorts of resources, because I intend to be the Unreal in the domain. Okay, I'm interested in showing people that there's always much more you can do than simple RPGs with stories. And again, I'm not interested in proving myself superior to others. I'm just here to raise the standards and show people that there is so much more complexity that can be added even through a simple platform like RPG Maker. Stay tuned, you are loved and appreciated. Ferenc on board signing out.